Sponsored by 666bet.com.
This is Kugan Cassius for IFL TV in association with Macklin's Gym Marbella and 666bet.
Why does it look so comfortable, like we're just like having afternoon tea in the Ritz?
I don't know. Do you feel comfortable on the sofa?
I feel like we're a couple.
Really?
Yeah, man. You look mighty fine in those jeans.
Weirdo. Right, fight week is in full flow. Middle of the week now. It's the undercard press conference today. Thought there was going to be DeGale and Groves today. There's no DeGale and Groves today.
I'd love to tell you what's going on behind the scenes, but it's not my business to. I'm sure it'll leak out eventually.
What do you know?
Well, put it this way. I reckon both of them are trying to get bragging rights to say they're chief support. So,
do you know who chief support is?
You know what? I even put my. Don't get me dragged in this argument. George thinks it's him. James thinks it's him. Let's say it's Anthony Joshua.
I think it is, isn't it? I think it is.
And so you've got a few egos on this bill, which is good. Which is good. You need characters, but you know this is the calm before the storm. It's press conferences so guys can do their PR bit. I think when it comes to weighing in time, that's when the fighters take over. That's when what's the word in boxing? Boxing's the only jungle where the lions are scared of the rats or something like that. Well, the lions on Friday, you know, when they weigh in, they're themselves. That's when they can speak their mind and act how they want to act because their commitments are over for doing PR and stuff like that. Then it comes to fight night, Saturday night, and that's where the fun will start. But don't be surprised if we get a few scuffles and bustles on weighing day.
What is your honest opinion of the undercard?
My honest opinion is this: I think the undercard. If you're a boxing fan, if you like boxing, this undercard is wicked. It's wicked. It would sell its own. Remember we had the Magnificent Seven. You know, I thought, and initially it would have been a cracker if all the fights stood up. Now I think on this one here, you've got James DeGale, George Grove, Jay McDonald, Scott Quigg, 2 world champions, Anthony Joshua. Smith, you know, it's just, and of course, you know the main fight, which is BELLEW. Come on, man, that's money's worth. You know, I think it's a good bill, and it's one of those bills where you're not spending most of the night in the bar until the main bout comes on. It's one of those where you want to watch every fight because there's a banana skin for everybody. Anybody who loses, it's going to be detrimental to their career. Anybody. Obviously, we're keeping an eye on DeGale and Groves because we can't afford for them to lose. If you're a fan, if you're looking from the outside in, you can't afford for them to lose because you know these guys are gonna clash, but they've got to keep winning.
The names on the bill are undoubtedly second to none. Like you just said, Joshua, DeGale, Groves. In your opinion, who's in competitive fights? Like, you know, I think
who's in the most competitive fight?
Yes.
James DeGale. Massive risk, little reward, because if you're not mad into the boxing, you won't know whose opponent is. But it's a high risk fight. You think, wow, man, you got, you know, the rewards and actually don't weigh up. But James wants that kind of fight. He wants every fight to mean something. I think he's got the highest risk. I would say Callum Smith, again, you know, testing fights. And the one I would feel frustrated for would be Scott Quigg, because he's world champion, but he's still looking for that defining fight where people say, yeah, that's it, there he is. You know, he's probably, and there's not many champions out there that believe they are the best in the world. You know, that they believe the public believe they are the best in the world. I personally think Scott Quigg thinks that, even though he's got the world title tag, he needs a defining fight to say, yes, this is it. So it's just frustrating for him. Because that's how it's looked upon. You know, he just needs that defining fight. Hopefully next year we'll see that. But he's still classed as the world champion.
I mean, Scott Quigg's here today, and a bit frustrating for Scott Quigg because there's people that say, you know, oh, he's not the real WBA champion. That's Regondo because his whole super title status. But I mean, it's not
his fault.
It's not Scott Quigg's fault, and Scott Quigg is eager to get these big
That's what
fights.
I'm saying.
He would fight these guys in a second.
That's what I'm saying. He needs that defining fight, and because he's in the situation he's in, you'd like to say a titular champion, basically meaning he's a champion without no power. But realistically, he's in a position of frustration. All he can do is keep winning. All he can do is make sure. If he wasn't world champion, it'd be very easy to ignore him. But he's world champion, so he can't be ignored. So the likes of Carl Frampton can't ignore him. He's there, he's in their face because he's got the badge, he's got the armour to prove it. So he's just got to be patient, stand his ground, keep winning, do his job, stay mentally focused. And you know what, when he came on ringside, he's changed into a different beast. He's grown up, he's funny, and he's sharp, and he's on it. And I think he's just grown up all of a sudden. He's starting to feel comfortable with the situation. He doesn't need people like me or you to slap him on his back and say, "How you doing, champ?" As far as he's concerned, he's champion. He's just, nobody else believes it yet, or so he thinks.
I mean, this guy Hidenori Ataki, it ranked quite high in all the organisations. I think he's like 3rd, 8th and 10th within 3 of the top ones, so we don't know too much about him.
Yeah, but which makes it even worse. So on paper, again, the risk, most fighters on the bill are in a situation where they've got tough fights. And that's why I'm saying the whole bill, you can't, it's perfect. To me, I think it's value for money. Because the whole bill, even if we ignore the main event, is actually a good night of fighting. You've got the stars, British stars of the future, of the present and the future, performing in Liverpool. Which, the Liverpool crowd, they're wicked. When they're on it, they'll support you. And even if they're supporting their own, then their own gets turned over, they'll give credit where credit's due.
Anthony Joshua. Again, you know what? It's just, you see, I said Anthony Joshua's been professional just over a year. He's had 9 fights.
Badass.
9 fights, and I know like everyone goes, "Oh, Eddie and Sky always hyping Anthony Joshua, blah 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 blah," and they want to see him in with like Klitschko and all these guys now.
That's what I'm saying. That's stupid. That's stupid. Angelo Dundee, renowned to be one of the greatest trainers in the world, he said matchmaking is everything. If matchmaking wasn't done correctly with Ali, we wouldn't know of Muhammad Ali. And that's it. Matchmaking is everything. And Anthony Joshua, a professional for 1 year, to achieve what he's achieved in the fashion he's done it in, and people are saying the opponents are too easy. It's not his fault he's that good, But unfortunately, his ability has got to match his experience, and unfortunately, he's not got the experience to match his ability at the moment. So you put him in too deep right now, and you're going to ruin him. I think the matchmakers are doing a perfect job in regards to bringing him along, developing him, and they're taking the stick, they're taking the flak. Anthony Joshua's got the blinkers on to ignore the backslappers, the good time friends, the ones that say, "Yeah, you're brilliant, you should be boxing, blah blah blah." He's saying, "I'm just getting on with my job. And that's what he's doing. And so I don't knock it at all. It's frustrating because he's that good. But listen, public, be patient with him. This kid's got to get the experience to go with his ability. Be patient with him, and then what will happen is we'll have some great nights, top tier. And you see Anthony Joshua performing behind closed doors. This kid's got the cojones that are needed for top tier, but he just needs the experience to go with the cojones.
I think next year we will see a rising quality of opponents, because that'll be the right time for him to do that.
He'll have no choice, because he'll have wiped the floor with all the domestic opposition. So there's nowhere else to go. And so he gets on the European circuit, then there's nowhere else to go. Then if it was me towards the back end of next year, I'd be getting him in with ex-world champions, guys that have got the experience, that are just past the best, that can test him, that can get the attention of the public to say, "Well, this Anthony Joshua took out ex-world champion in such and such a round, or he did a great job in such and such a round." And then a year after, that's when you want to be talking about world champions. The year after. Next year is still a learning year, but you just step up the level of opposition's experience.
I know you got to get back to work, but just a quick note on Jamie McDonnell and Callum Smith as well.
Yeah, those boys again. Jamie McDonnell, world champion, he's boxed on an undercard. I know he's a Yorkshireman thing. I'm champ at world. What am I doing boxing on undercard? But you know what? He'll get on with the job. He'll bring great support. He's just happy to get out again. Who would have believed James McDonald would end up being a two-time world champion? You know, he had a rocky, let's say, 15 months, and turn it round, and he's achieved things that people just wouldn't believe. Callum Smith, he is, you know, he's an original diamond. Looks like a lump of coal until you clean him up, and the kid's a diamond. This kid can fight. This kid is special. This kid, you know, could easily slip under the radar if you didn't know what he was doing behind closed doors. This kid is going to be something special.
And obviously for James McDonald, there's a pot of gold at the end of this fight, because he's Eddie Hearn secured a fight with the Japanese fighter Kameda, who's an excellent fighter. Of course. In a unification fight.
Of course, and you know what, for James McDonald, is again, the risks are high. The risks are very high. If he slips up here, if his performance is below par, if he lost, that's out of the window, it's gone. We saw the same situation with Anthony Crawler last week. If he lost, you know, he's got a world title on the 23rd of January, world title shot on the 23rd of January. If he'd have lost, that'd have gone straight out the window. These guys want to fight. That's what they do, that's their living. So you can look at the business side of it, the political side of it. Don't fight, so you've got a world title fight. Or you can think like a fight and think, I don't give it. I just want to fight. And so that's why you've got to respect these boys.
All right, well listen, you better go and do some work, paid work. You know this ain't paid work.
I'm not getting paid.
You never get paid for this. Where are you going?
I ain't getting paid. Yeah, pay me out, dude. Not for you. Kick your ass. Kick him.
The Big Fight, sponsored by 666bet.com.